Let's talk about what I think is the best Switch news in quite some time. And that's pretty substantial, great news, because this comes a short while after Nintendo Switch Lite pre-orders went on sale. Looking at you, Zacian and Zamazenta Edition. And it comes a short time after Nintendo announced free full game trials for paying NSO customers. So what is this big news, you ask? Nintendo Switch will be getting a new screen. Or at least one Nintendo Switch in the future will be getting a new screen. But it's getting a new screen, and that is huge. It's also very dense, so I'm going to do my best to break this down simply for you guys, because I've been reading about it all day, in between sending texts to everybody I know about Galarian wheezing because his mustache is just that incredible. But basically, Wall Street Journal is reporting that Sharp will be lending its IGZO display panels to Nintendo. Sharp said that they're going to be bringing these to a video game client, and earlier in the year, Wall Street Journal reported that Sharp would be working with Nintendo, so bing, it lines up, it matches, and some Switch is getting one of these sweet new panels. Now, exactly what does this panel do? What does it mean for the Switch? Don't worry, we're gonna break it all down. But if you guys and girls are excited for a new screen in a Switch and what that could mean and maybe what you'd want out of that, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoy, it helps out a ton. And this screen could help out a ton. There's basically two ways it could go. There's a plan A, which is kind of like the bare minimum of what this IGZO panel could do, and then there's a plan B, kind of more of a pie in the sky, perfect dream scenario of what this could do. And we're gonna cover both. But first, IGZO stands for Indium Gallium Zinc Oxide. And to be very clear, this is a component, not a type of panel. So it can power both LCD and OLED. And Sharp uses it in everything from 8K TVs down to smartphones because it's really cool tech. And the main benefit of IGZO is that it is much more power efficient, it is brighter, and it is durable. Sounds like all great things for Nintendo Switch, right? So this is a smart choice because the Switch has used an amorphous silicon display from the start. Back at launch, it was brought to you by Japan Display Inc., but since then they've switched to Taiwanese suppliers. This new screen would of course be brought to you by Sharp, but it's unclear where it will go, inside of the Switch Lite, inside of a future revision V3, or inside of the coveted, when will it be revealed, Switch Pro? That's my personal hope. But let's get back to the IGZO display panel itself. And I think the best analogy for this guy is cake frosting. Because frosting is delicious, and it undoubtedly makes everything taste better. But just how good the whole dessert tastes really depends on the cake underneath. And just how beneficial this IGZO tech is will really depend on the hardware underneath. So let's start with plan A, which is the more likely and more achievable option. And this is the one that most sites are talking about. They're saying it could be incorporated as soon as the Switch Lite, or maybe in a revision soon after. Some people have wondered if this new better screen was already a part of the now out there Switch V2 revision, but we've seen these unboxed and people aren't reporting the benefits that this IGZO display would provide, or at least not all of them. Because you see, the biggest benefit that a new display like this would provide for Nintendo Switch is more power efficiency and, you got it, better battery life. Now that is exactly what Switch V2 and Nintendo Switch Lite tout the most. But I feel like if this display was a part of those consoles, they'd be talking about some of the other gains as well. Stuff like much better brightness and richer colors. Because an IGZO display has better transparency than a silicon-based display, and as Gizmodo points out, this should lead to less hazy, less cloudy images, a problem that does occasionally plague the current Switch screen. Sharp's display would also be more responsive to touch, and we're not seeing any talk about brightness, color, haze, or responsiveness in these V2 breakdowns. So this screen could show up in the right around the corner Nintendo Switch Lite, but in my opinion, it's more likely that it will first debut in a new Switch revision, or even a totally new model. And this is backed up by further detail in that Wall Street Journal report, where they say they've heard Nintendo has ideas for further updates to the Nintendo Switch lineup beyond the Switch Lite and V2. So maybe it really is being prepped for a Switch Pro. And if that's the case, then baby, the IGZO tech could do a whole lot more for our favorite hybrid. Tom's guide talks about how it could be used for a 1080p screen. It could be used for better refresh rate and thereby better frame rate, because this tech is meant for more if you've got the hardware to power it. Now with the current Tegra chip, it's not going to be possible. It would do more of the Plan A type stuff, the brightness, the power efficiency, the richer, maybe less haze. But if we did get a better Switch, then this tech could power a far better screen, and that would allow for much more, and maybe the best iteration of Switch yet. Because to me, if you're going to invest in a new screen and eventually tout that, it's not enough to just have a little bit better brightness and maybe better battery life. I want more pixels. I want this thing to be crisp, clear, and absolutely awesome for handheld play. And that does sound a lot like the proposed Switch Pro, something that can do 1080p on the go, something that can do 60 FPS on the go. Now that's a true evolution of Nintendo Switch. And because Sharp is so proud of this tech and pushing it in so many of their high-end products, I hope that they're working on a similar high-end product with Nintendo. But let's not get too speculative, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let me give you a summary of what this Sharp IGZO display panel will do for Nintendo Switch. It'll bring better battery life via more power efficiency. It'll bring better brightness, richer colors, and hopefully a clearer image. It'll also bring more responsiveness to touch and better durability. Another thing that makes me think maybe it could be in Switch Lite, because that's going to get thrown around and dropped and put on the floor far more often than the current Switch. Some people also say it would scratch less frequently, which sounds great for any Switch model, but it is possible that this screen could be paired with a 1080p display that would make things really sing on Switch in handheld mode. We'll have to wait and see exactly where it shows up, and maybe Nintendo has more to announce. It sounds like they're going to be iterating on this Switch again and again. Hopefully not too often where we can't keep up, but I'm really excited because a new, better screen for a portable is like a really big deal, possibly the biggest deal for a handheld system. And if they're able to eventually pair that with more power, that new Switch could quickly become royalty. But let me know what you all think in the comments down below about this new Sharp IGZO display panel that's supposed to come to Switch, or at least a Switch. And let me know which Switch you think it'll show up in first. And as soon as I know more, I'll definitely let you know. But hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully the breakdown makes sense. And hopefully now you know what this new screen can do, could do, and will do for our favorite little system. Until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Switch Force out.